We help contractors by the hundreds with all of the administrative burdens that surround handling their construction projects. That means helping them with Xactimate estimating, working with them on all the administration of their supplements, and doing the administrative services back office work that enables them to focus on selling, building, and billing.
We see contractors just starting off, maybe they're struggling with the fundamentals of running a construction business. They partner up with us, their process is now defined, they're able to grow their profit margins and actually scale because they're not held back with the burden of dealing with the supplementing process. I feel proud of what we've been able to do in this industry.
This is Larry Deja with the Merlin Law Group, helping policyholders for more than 30 years. If you have a claim or your client has a claim that needs help, please feel free to call the Merlin Law Group because we are the true policyholder advocate.
C3 was eager to help us, and even whenever we weren't giving them work, they were still eager to give advice. The things that they were putting out for the changing from DMO to RFG, and giving that to the industry and not charging anything for it, I thought was really cool. And that's stuff that I as a contractor appreciate. I'd recommend C3 to any contractor who's looking for a PA, especially if you're around Colorado. Great guys, man. I'm nothing but happy with the work they've done for us.
What's up, everybody? Lead meteorologist John Triquette here for another Saturday edition of our daily forecast, sponsored as always by C3 Group, Merlin Law Group, and are the Supplement and Balance Claims. You can check out all of their pages in the description below if you're watching us here on the Hail Trace Facebook page. I know a bunch of you watch on Derek's Facebook page. So if you go check out the Hail Trace page, any of the descriptions of any of the videos, you can get a link directly to the pages of our sponsors. So go check them out, give them a like, do all you gotta do to support our sponsors who support us through all these crazy times, are able to get all this content out to you even during a pandemic. So, weather headlines for today, we have some hail possible from Florida all the way over back towards Houston this afternoon and into the overnight hours. Looks like some hail is going to be happening there, and then it looks like we have a chance for a more significant severe weather event for tomorrow. It's looking very similar to what happened last Sunday on Easter. So if you were paying attention on Easter, we had a lot of tornadoes, a little bit of hail, and a lot more strong winds and significant tornadoes. A similar setup is looking likely for tomorrow over areas that were impacted last weekend. So we'll go into that a little bit. And then next week, even though I don't have any content for it for today, next week's looking like we're going to see quite a bit of activity going on across the southern plains into the southeast for the majority of next week, and even going into May, which is a couple weeks from now. So we're going to be talking about that. So here's the hail forecast for today. We have two different areas that we're highlighting, the first of which is going to be down in Florida. Low-end chance for some hail this afternoon, basically anywhere from now through sunset. Anywhere south of Orlando really is looking to be the better chance for hail. There was quite a bit of rain this morning across central Florida. I originally had Orlando in more of a moderate chance, and then fortunately Mother Nature decided no, not so much. So down by Miami is probably your best chance for some hail, upwards of maybe ping pong ball size hail there. And the most significant chance is looking like going to be in the southeastern sections of Texas, where I had that most significant hatching So places just north of Houston, Lufkin, Shreveport, Monroe, all that is looking like we're going to see some storms this evening and into the overnight hours. Any storms that form here could have upwards of golf ball size hail, and there's even a chance that this evening we could see a couple storms meander over towards the Houston area, but that's a more conditional threat. So let's kind of break this down a little bit. Let's go with Houston, Texas first for the city forecast. I'm saying 5 and 9 p.m. is your chance for some hail, maybe with this more conditional threat, and then there's another chance it's going to be late tonight. So after about midnight, we could also see storms around there. Golf ball size hail would be your maximum size with any of these storms. And they're right now a borderline low to moderate chance. Again, if the conditional threat was a little more less conditional and more of a surefire thing, I could actually be a little more excited for Houston and maybe bump those chances up. But I'd put then that low moderate chance, and then if anything happens, again, it's a slightly less of a chance that you could see hail upwards of golf ball or even larger. San Antonio's on the fringe, yes, they're right on the very edge, and it's going to be probably practically tomorrow by the time those storms would form. Again, much like what happened last weekend, I think there will be some storms that form somewhere in the state of Texas, closer to daybreak, and that could have a potential for some large hail as well, and move east into Louisiana, and then trigger a bunch of storms across the southeast or tomorrow. So Miami, Florida is my other city forecast for today, between basically right now, so maybe an hour from now, through about 5 p.m., could see hail upwards of maybe ping pong ball size as your absolute maximum, and then you could have a chance of hail is kind of low, again, just below that moderate level. There will likely be storms maybe north of Miami just a bit, but it looks like we could see, again, pretty low-end chance for hail. Unfortunately, DFW looks like they're going to kind of avoid the chances for hail today, unfortunately. I think everything's going to be just to your east and south of DFW. So DFW's got to kind of wait for the next one probably next week. So here's your wind forecast for today. Nothing crazy. Low-end chance upwards of 60 mile per hour winds for your any storms that form this afternoon into the overnight hours. The more significant chances are going to be tomorrow. So we're going to show the future radar and then move on to tomorrow pretty quick here. So you can see in the future radar some storms form pretty close to the Miami-Dade metro area. That's going to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, all that seems to be at risk anywhere after about 2 o'clock or so. And then that could have some marginally severe hail, maybe up to some ping pong balls if we're lucky with that. And then future radar, I have to go pretty late with this one. You're not going to see the later storms forming within this run, but you do see a couple storms try to form near the Houston area, and then some activity forming late in the overnight, possibly even into Mississippi, as a warm front is rapidly going to move north. That's going to set the stage for Sunday, and this is your chance for Sunday. I have the hail forecast. I'm hedging my bets a little bit here, kind of mimicking what happened last weekend. That initial development of storm is going to be your best chance for some large hail. There's a conditional threat that we could see supercells possibly in Macon, Georgia, and even by Birmingham, point south towards Montgomery, or even as far east as Savannah, Georgia. But we're going with the most likely chance here, and the most likely chance is going to be in eastern Texas, and then most of north central sections of Louisiana, and then parts of Mississippi as well. So I have a moderate chance for Shreveport and Jackson, low chance everywhere else, at least for right now. And along with that moderate chance, and where they have that moderate chance, you have upwards of tennis ball size hail. It's your best chance of seeing supercells, and that's what you're going to need to have that really large hail. Obviously, much like last weekend, we're not going to know exactly how things are going to play out till things begin tomorrow morning. Another complex situation where you have multiple rounds of storms. You could have different storm modes. So if you have more of a line of storms like what we had last weekend, yes, there can be tornadoes and very strong winds with that, but the hail potential is much lower. If we have more supercell activity like you typically see in the southern plains, then yeah, we got much more hail. This forecast may change drastically by the time I do it tomorrow. So that's what we're looking at for right now. So the best potential for hail is going to be on that western edges that we have here in Texas. Everywhere I've highlighted in red, with that highest hail size potential is going to be your highest potential for hail as well. So looking at that for the wind forecast, things are a little different. It pushes things off to the east, and we have another question mark of how far north the warm, unstable air is going to make it. Right now, I kind of am hedging it in between the farthest northern projections, which brings it basically to the Tennessee line, and the southernmost projections, which doesn't bring it much further north than about Montgomery, Alabama. So I have it somewhere in between. So places like Birmingham and Atlanta, you're going to be kind of on the northern fringes of the potential for very strong winds and tornadoes. And then places further south like Macon, Montgomery, Jackson, I think you have a pretty good chance of seeing the potential for some very strong winds up over 75 miles an hour. That's your darker blue. And also tornadoes pretty much anywhere within that dark blue section as well. So that's what we're looking at there. Moderate risk for Shreveport. You're probably going to have, again, a very similar setup to what happened last Sunday. We're going to have storms most likely moving through in the morning hours, possibly before I even get this forecast out for you guys tomorrow. And then areas off to the east, like in the Carolinas, that might actually end up being very, very early on Monday morning. Again, very similar setup to last weekend. So if you recall, you're living in these areas, what happened last weekend, the timing of the storms, what kind of storms they were, kind of similar to that. I think this is going to be a less intense tornado producer like what we had last weekend. Last weekend was a very prolific tornado producer. That usually only happens on the more severe events. This one is toned down a little bit, so I think less tornadic activity, but the potential is also there because there is less violent forcing that causes those giant tornadoes. Is a higher chance of maybe seeing some hail and more isolated storms, which again can increase that hail potential. So tuning in tomorrow, and we're gonna go in detail and kind of see how things are playing out. So this is what the future radar shows. Starting to southern plains, you can see that activity starting in Texas and then moving into Louisiana and Mississippi. And you can kind of see how a lot more activity even forms in Arkansas and into Oklahoma. That is basically your best hail chance. You see the more isolated storms there. Any of those can produce some pretty large hail. And then we push to the southeast. And the thing that is most interesting to me is that activity in Georgia early on that you're seeing there. If that does turn into supercells, that increases your tornado potential, increases your hail potential, and then possibly another round of storms. Any supercells that form within this has a good chance of seeing some big hail. Another thing to note is it keeps Atlanta and Birmingham out of the risk. This particular model that I'm showing you guys was actually one of the southernmost extent. So basically your best chance for severe weather is going to be wherever a warm front gets to. And this particular model doesn't get it quite to Birmingham or to Atlanta. But other models have it a little higher up. Well, Hot Springs, Arkansas get hail? It is possible, yes. Yeah, everywhere, probably south of Little Rock has at least a decent chance of seeing hail tomorrow. So that's what we're looking at for this weekend. I'm not going beyond that. I can just kind of touch on it. We're looking at the potential for some more significant severe weather going on to your Wednesday and then the rest of next week. So Monday will be the last remnants of this system tomorrow. Tuesday is another break day, and then I think Wednesday we could see stuff again, possibly much closer to DFW and Oklahoma City for that. So follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that great stuff. Search at Hail Trace. If you follow us here on Facebook, follow our page, like our page, hit see first if you haven't already, and you won't miss any updates. We'll do any live coverage if anything crazy happens tonight, and of course, if anything goes on tomorrow, I think I'm trying to figure out a way to effectively broadcast tornado potential and everything, so we'll get that in on there for you guys. Follow us on YouTube. Our channel is Hail Trace. If you guys want to watch us on your TVs, you can I think Google Chromecast or whatever to get the YouTube stream onto a television. If you like doing that for when we do live coverage and whatnot, so go check that out as well. And my Twitter and Instagram logos are switched. They sure are. I gotta fix that. I'll find your jam. Or you can visit our website, hailtrace.com, coverage as well. So